Welcome to Her Incredible Mind, where we are highlighting some of the most successful women in science, technology, engineering, and math. These women are inspirational leaders, showing resilience in the face of adversity. By sharing these success stories, we hope to gain insight, inspire, and help guide those who are struggling on their journey within this industry. Hopefully, their stories will inspire you or someone you know to pursue a career in STEAM.
We have today with us, we have Christabel Sheridan from Microsoft. And Christabel and I have known each other for a couple of years now. She has been with Microsoft for a significant amount of time and has had an incredible journey there. So Christabel, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us about your career at Microsoft?
Absolutely. So again, my name is Christabel Sheridan. My pronouns are she, her. I am a modern workplace specialist focusing in the modern workplace at Microsoft. I have been part of the Microsoft family for the better part of 20 years now, doing Microsoft engineering, dating back into the day. And I was actually a Novell engineer, predating that. So I just like to date myself for those people who are technology junkies. So I focus on helping customers get the most and design their sort of digital transformation journeys from where they are today into a more online technical world.
That's great. Thank you. And I think that your role is very unique in the fact that you're constantly working with other people to have them adapt to technology, and you obviously have to constantly be learning about the new technology. So it's interesting to see how much you have to absorb. And in 20 years, I'm sure you probably could tell us the entire journey of Microsoft at this point.
Definitely, it is. I say to people all the time who are getting into IT and getting into this line of work that you better have a desire to learn, better have a desire to adapt, because as soon as you master the way it works, it will change and the new thing will come out, and all of a sudden you'll have to readapt, relearn, and move on. What we're doing today is very different from what we did 20 years ago.
Exactly. So, Christabel, how did you decide on your role, and what mattered to you most when you took on this role?
So it actually started, I like to tell this story, when I was 13 years old, and my father was an accountant at General Cinemas, which were the early adopters of computers, were the accountants with Lotus 123 back in the day. And he had a 40 meg hard drive and a tape backup system on his Tandy 1000. And I was playing with DOS. And I was going through the commands alphabetically, and I was fine until I got to format. And I typed in format C, which will erase the hard drive. And I formatted his hard drive in all his Excel spreadsheets. And he put me on the phone with the IT person at the time, who taught me how to do a tape backup restore from the tape backup system he had on his computer. And I was hooked. That was it. I was done. I knew what I wanted to do with my life. I knew the career I wanted to go into, and that was it. I was hooked on IT ever since.
That is a wonderful story. I love that story. That's fantastic. I think I might use that one. Is when we talk about kind of the oopses of the world. You know what I mean? When you do something like that. I remember when the computers had two floppies. One used to boot, and one was where you saved anything. You know, it's funny when you think about that. So, what do you think you enjoy most about your role today?
I actually love working with customers. So I'm in a more unique spot in being more customer facing and being sort of the pre-sales architect, in that I get to help people figure out how they want to use this before they implement it. So I get to take people on that journey, and I love the interacting with people in tech. I often joke my job is translator, because a lot of the people who make these decisions on technology are not technical themselves.
Right.
So I have to translate geek into business. And
Right.
I have to do that in a way that helps them understand the value of it. So that's actually my favorite part, is being the translator for geek speak, and getting the business people to understand the value and how it's going to help, and then helping them implement it. So that's actually the part of the job I love the most.
That's great. That is fantastic. And I know we talked about that this has really been your path, and that you really wanted to stay, you were hooked from when you were, younger in technology. Was that the only decision that you made in your career path? Did you think of, switching roles? I know you've had a couple of roles in the Microsoft arena.
I have, and I actually started I started on the help desk, and I worked my way up into network engineering and managing networks and all internal facing stuff. And then in 2001, we sort of had the dot-com bubble burst, and jobs were a little harder to come by. And I got offered a job in pre-sales architecture, being part of the sales team. And it was the first time I got to sort of experience that, not being completely in the back office in a closet somewhere, but actually being out in front of people. And I took to it. And then over that time, I've jumped around from different technologies, whether it be more business applications to modern workplace to infrastructure. And I've kind of bounced around the different components of IT, sort of over the years, to become a generalist of how it is. But yeah, so I've definitely bounced around. I like to be where the innovation is happening. So I definitely like to move around to where I see the next cool things coming up. Security tends to be a lot of what I focus on now, because that is such a huge part of the IT industry now. So I tend to spend a lot of time focusing on that. And whatever comes next, I'll probably swap to that.
It's amazing how much your career at Microsoft has been focused on change. And obviously you're a big proponent of change management, and you need to really kind of live that experience, right, every day. But what obstacles do you think that you've faced in your career that needed you, to practice some own change management?
So the biggest one, obviously, is I'm a transgender woman. I came out later in life. I was actually 38 years old when I came out. So I'd already established my career, and got to live most of my career as a cisgender man. And then all of a sudden, I now had to face a career as a trans woman, and it's just very different obstacles and hurdles I had to reach between coming out, being my authentic self at work, all the new obstacles I was finding now in the workplace, that privilege I had had before, some of which has disappeared, and just being introduced to all sorts of new issues and roadblocks that just weren't there before, that I've now had to start adapting to.
That's, it's fascinating when you think about, our own careers and the obstacles you have within them, and then you combine that with a personal journey like yours, and it definitely takes some immense strength to do that. So I just want to comment that, that I've always been really proud of the fact of the strength that you have lived with, really doing what you're doing now, and I think it's fantastic. So in you're using innovation within your vertical, right? You're in technology, you're moving forward, you're driving innovation. How about your customer base and how they're driving innovation, and how critical you are to that?
So yeah, it definitely plays a big part, because I support a bunch of different industries in my role, and they're all in different scales and periods in their sort of what we call digital transformation growth.
Right.
So that's actually the fun part of the job, is working with those companies who are at that different point of growth. And my job is to meet them where they're at, right, and come to them where they are and help them on their next steps. So that actually keeps the job very interesting, because some are at level 1 and moving to level 2, and some are at level 10 moving to level 11, and like they're just sort of at different stages. So it does present some unique challenges. You kind of have to think on your feet and remember, all right, this customer's here, so I have to be careful about what I'm presenting to them.
Great. That's great. That's great. Information. I admire the fact that you're able to kind of be that adaptable to actually tell people what innovation is coming and how they can use it in their own way, so that they don't feel as if they don't understand. That's a great thing to do for other people, and for other industries, obviously. So, speaking of other people, what would you tell your younger self?
First is to be braver and be your authentic self, wherever you are. You don't want to compromise who you are, your ethics, or who you need to be to conform to what others need to do. So that would be the first and foremost thing. Be brave, be loud, be strong, be messy, um, and get out there and mix it up. Two, to be more adaptable. I think in my early days, I was very set in what I wanted to do. And I was kind of locked into, like, I just wanted to be a system administrator, or like that was it. And I was so locked on that one career path. I missed opportunities when they came up that could have afforded me. And I was very lucky that I ended up where I did. And that led me on the career path I'm on, that has led me to Microsoft. But I could have missed that opportunity if I became too locked in on one particular career path in technology.
You know, that's funny that you say that, because one of the things I actually value about kind of my journey has been, there were many times where I was very, you know, stuck where I thought I should be. And at one time I took a chance and I went to a pharmaceutical company, and 20 years later, it's still the best decision that I ever made. And I thought I'd be there for 6 weeks as a consultant and then just move on. And it turned out to be that risk that I took that really put me where I needed to be. You know, so I completely agree with you on that. So any advice to young girls that may want to follow in your shoes?
So the biggest thing is to, study what you want to study, learn, find a good mentor. I have been blessed in that I have two at Microsoft who, even prior to me being at Microsoft, were great mentors, and kind of helped give me guidance, who are maybe more senior and further in their career. So finding a great mentor, finding what you're passionate about, and going for it, right? Don't be afraid to study. And then, as we just said, like, don't be afraid to change gears too, if it's not the right thing, but find what you're passionate about. Like, I truly love what I do, which is unfortunately somewhat rare these days. And I want it to be less rare for people, right? Find what you love, whether it's biology, whether it's chemistry, whether it's computer science. I happen to have a child who's in college right now who's double majoring in biology and computer science because they can't make up their mind if they want to go pre-med or if they want to go into programming.
Right.
And so I told them major in both, or study both, and then figure it out as you go along over the next few years, right? Explore, right? Especially in high school and college, that's the time to do that. Explore, see what you're interested in, and then take it from there.
Exactly. And now you're seeing more and more in the industry where technology and science are actually intertwined now more than they've ever been. So kudos to your children for actually taking that path. That's great. So here's the question that we've asked, and we kind of end with this question is, if your LinkedIn profile was limited to 3 words, what would you pick?
Proud technology evangelist. I like to say I'm a Microsoft Southern Baptist. I like to stand on the pulpit and preach about technology and what it can do. And I am passionate. I love this stuff. I love it more than I can think. Like I said, from the age of 13 on, I knew what I loved, and I knew I loved playing with computers and networks and IT. And it just, that was probably the 3 words I would limit it to. Because that's who I am. And I would say that, secondly would be proud trans woman. But even in my personal transition, and I think a lot of young women and even more older professional women today would say that I want to be known as the techno evangelist first and a woman second, right? I don't want that reversed. And so
Right.
Same with being a trans woman. I don't want to be the trans woman in the room. I want to be the techno geek that you all want to talk about and talk to, not the trans woman who's a techno geek. So I really want my identity to be more centered around what I do, not who I am.
Yes, that is a great point. I think that, all of us share that exact same sentiment. So it's great to have you bring that up, because that's I think that's part of what we are on this journey for, is to enroll young girls and potentially change the minds too of women that are seeking potentially a different career than what they've started for. And I think that's exactly the truth, is that we want to be known for what we do and not just who we are from a gender standpoint. So that is a really great segue. I appreciate you. I really am thankful for you to be involved in Her Incredible Mind. You're on our board of directors as well. And we're proud of you and everything you're doing. So thank you, Christabel, for being with us today. I'm Kate Fagan, and this is Her Incredible Mind, and we appreciate it.